Hi, Shadiversity. Big fan of your content. This is a reaction to your video on the Nunchaku. Um, you said something that needs correcting. So, you said that as you strike with a Nunchaku, it straightens out like a stick. Therefore, this end is not traveling as fast, or is not traveling any faster than a straight stick would be doing. Um, and I'm really not sure on your logic on that, but watch this carefully with that detail in mind. Okay. This is not straight. It's very much round. It's slightly bent. Um, why is that? There's a couple reasons. So the first one is that I'm not operating in a single plane. I'm not going just along this one. Simultaneously, we're working on this one. So the rotator cuff, the wrist, everything's just a little bit bent, and everything's being activated in that. Now, what is the advantage of that? Well, if you think of how a bullwhip works, if you've ever played with one, you take this whip and you come down and you come in this big circle that's coming in, and then it gets smaller and smaller at the end and it snaps. And that sound, if you know, the first several times you'll be doing it, you won't get it, you won't get it, you won't get it. And as I understand, it's from breaking the sound barrier. And once you get that fast enough, then it's taking the movement from the large sections and it's concentrating it towards the end, increasing the velocity. Okay, with a nunchaku, that is an advantage of the design, is that it is similar to these other pieces of my arm, right? So if we think of this as being one cohesive unit, it matches well enough that I can generate more speed at the end. And as that last section hits, most of the kinetic energy should be transferred from my arm and from this portion into this one. Now, does that mean that it will hit faster, or that it will hit harder than a straight stick would? No, it doesn't. And the reason for that is because as this is bent and I'm using this as a lever, right, I don't have all of this mass at the end slowing me down. There's not that much leverage. And so the movement is going to initially be a little bit quicker, and it's going to happen sooner than it would with a longer rigid weapon, which wouldn't flex like that. So for the same weight of nunchaku, right, it's going to feel much lighter, and it's going to have the advantages and disadvantages of a lighter straight stick. And another mistake you made is you compared equal length sticks, not equal length sticks. So that the mass needs to be the same for an equal comparison, and that also, since it is being hit at an end, it does give that feeling of the nunchaku being shorter. The advantage is that the length really isn't an issue for this very convenient fact that you can fold them up. So to compensate for that, if you wanted to have it behave like a heavier stick, you would just increase a little bit of mass towards this end. That's what I did until I found a design that worked pretty well. This one, 430 grams. If I wanted to increase that to 500 or 600, I mean, it really wouldn't make any difference on how convenient it would be to carry them, so I don't see how that's an issue. You just need to compensate with and work with the design instead of a strange apples to oranges comparison. Um, the other advantage is something that you said when you're demonstrating hitting straight and then it comes back and it hits you. Well, hitting straight with a sword makes sense because you have the edge alignment that you need to worry about. With the Nunchaku, that just means that it's going to be bouncing back in your direction. With this, as it comes back, you'll see there's nothing behind me. And if I just drop down a little bit, I mean, there's no issue. What it takes is just some practice with a heavy target, such as a dead tree is what I use, but you could use a dummy or a heavy punching bag. Any of those things would work. So if you practice long enough, you will get used to that feel, and you don't have that big shot coming through your hand that slows you down. You can relax at the moment of impact a little bit if you want to, and just ease into the recovery. If you want to also, let's say you're holding it close to the end for some reason, it would be much more difficult to avoid that, as you can work with it. And as you come through, you imagine you're doing a figure eight, kind of. And as you hit this, it comes out and over and around. And so that just requires a bit of competence. It's like saying that you can't use a two-handed sword because you'll get hit with the sharp end if it bounces back. With a competent user, I mean, there is a chance it could always happen because you can't predict everything, but it shouldn't be the deal-breaking issue there if you're reasonably competent. Those were the points I wanted to make, is that it's not straight, that there's a reason for that it's intrinsic to the Nunchaku's design, and that increases speed and also helps with avoiding getting hit on the recovery. And if I'm wrong on something, go ahead and correct me. If there was something you wanted to clarify, go ahead. But I hope that was of benefit to someone. Take care.